Today, we're talking about all the superpowers that are out there, and we don't even know that Africa used to be a superpower one time in the history. Do you understand the power that Africa had? Do you understand the power that is in you today? Because that power, the power of our ancestors, is still in you today. Not only in you, it's in your neighbor, the neighbors that you're killing them, the neighbors that are not coming from your tribe, that power is in them. This is the journey to one Africa. Hey everybody, I just want to remind you guys to sign up for membership. You can also sign up for Patreon, or you can use PayPal to support the work that we're doing here at SNOA. You can use super chat, super sticker, super thanks. Also, do not forget to subscribe, like our videos, comment, and share with somebody, because it's very important for the work that we're doing right here. We are nothing without you guys. If you guys are not going to be there supporting, listening, watching, sharing, subscribing, and cheering for us, our work here means nothing. So please do that for the beautiful work we do for this continent. I appreciate you guys for stepping up and for being here right now. Today, I'm going to talk about something very important. I believe in the decolonization of the minds of our people. And the only way to decolonize the mind is for us going back to the history before colonization of Africa, to look at where we came from, to understand who we really are, and to understand where we're coming from, why we're here, what can we do, and where we're going. If we answer these 5 important questions, then we'll be able to decolonize the mind of our people, and we'll be able to transform this continent for a living. Just minding you guys, we are calling each other Africa. We're calling this continent Africa today, but this continent was never called Africa before. This name was given by white men to us, and our identity were changed. Our identity were transformed to who we used to be to someone else. Remind you that we did not have countries. We had kingdoms. And today I'm going to talk about the top 10 greatest kingdoms ever happened here in Africa. And you will understand why I'm saying this, and you will understand why I'm saying these words. Because when you look at these kingdoms, you'll be shocked and you'll be surprised. We're going to read one after another one to understand where we came from. To understand that, yes, we might be calling each other Africa, we might be calling this continent Africa, but no, this was an identity that was given to us by someone else who had an interest to colonize and to overcome Africa. Therefore, our kingdom were breaking apart, our empires were breaking apart, our languages were taken away, and everything were changed. Our artifacts, our heritage, our history books were taken away, our architects, the buildings that our ancestors built, all of them were broken down to remove the equation of the history of this continent and to give us a new identity. And now we call each other Africans, and we call this continent Africa. I think it's time to go back the history of Africa before colonization and to change even the name of this continent. And I know there's so many theories, but I know a lot of historian books, they talk about this continent as a Kush. They talk about this Kush people. Back in the days, for example, for Christians will understand when you talk about Kushite people in the Bible, they're talking about African people today. But these people will be called Kushite. We're going to look at the empire and the kingdom of Kush. You'll understand how many countries were in there. The kingdom of empire, Aksum and other, you will understand. And the main goal of this video today is for us to understand where we come from, to digest it in our system, and to make the decisions of our own. After reading this kingdom, you're going to understand where Africa we are, where we are today. All right, without wasting time, let's start with the first one. Drum roll, guys, drum roll. The first one, the Aksumite Empire. The kingdom of Aksum, or Aksum, was another name for this kingdom. This was one of the East African kingdoms that existed from 100 CE to 960 CE. Today, the empire spans Ethiopia and Eritrea. The Aksumite played an important role in a commercial trade routes that connected ancient India and the Romans. So this Aksumite, the eastern side of Africa, it connected India and Romans. This is what Africa was doing, guys. But not only that, together with the empire like Persia, Rome, and China, the empire was regarded as one of the 4 superpowers during its era. So, guys, 4 superpowers during its era. Those superpowers here, we see Persia, Rome Empire, China. Aksum, it was actually included in these other 4 empires, and it was one of the superpowers. Empire in the eastern side of Africa. Ethiopia, Eritrea, Aksumite Empire. Today, we're talking about all the superpowers that are out there, and we don't even know that Africa used to be a superpower one time in the history. The kingdom ruled over, look at this, ruled over northern Sudan, Yemen, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Eritrea, southern Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. Some of the people, they say this, that when you look at the history, that actually Middle East is not really Middle East. It was just put there strategically, but Middle East, it was part of other places. Like when you look at Africa, when you look at Egypt, and when you look at Middle East, that's why a lot of people, they connect Ethiopia as the Middle East, but I mean, not Ethiopia, Egypt. But you know, this place, it was part of this continent we're talking about today. It's part of it. Look at the old map of this continent and this world, then you will understand. A number of steles were erected by the populace throughout the pre-Christian era to serve as monuments. The obelisks of Aksum, an important land, and you can go on and on. Ethiopia, that dates back to 1700 years ago, is one of the famous structures that people did provide the groundwork for the Ethiopian Orthodox Church once they became Christian, though, and you can read other details. But the main thing that I want to highlight in this, the Aksum Empire, it was one of the 4 superpowers in the world: Persia, Rome, China, and Aksum Empire. And you see the countries involved. How many countries ruled? You see, back in the days, all these kingdoms they were together with different countries. See, northern Sudan, you see Djibouti, Ethiopia, Eritrea, southern Egypt, and then Saudi Arabia and Yemen, all of these countries together. Okay, the second kingdom, guys, the kingdom of Ghana. Well-known empire was dispersed over a portion of what are now Senegal, Mauritania, and Mali between the years of 700 until 1240 CE. The empire was in power. It was sometimes referred as Ouagadougou and served as a significant heart of the trans-Saharan commerce route that connected African communities. Something to highlight there. Despite having an adequate water supply, the empire was home to between 15,000 and 20,000 people. Due to their expertise in the trade of cola, nuts, and gold, the empire was known as the land of gold. Large armies and complex tax and administrative system are throughout to have been there. Gold mining was the empire's source of power, and camel adoption improved their gold trading. So, guys, you see what the kingdom of Ghana was doing. They're actually trading all these things among each other. Trans-Saharan commerce route that connected African communities. We had that before, guys, before. We were connected. The third kingdom, the Mali Empire. A portion of Guinea, Ivory Coast, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Niger, Senegal, and Mauritania are now part of the kingdom. Between the years 1230 and 1670, the empire was active. The populace extracted gold from their mines, making their rulers Mansa Musa the wealthiest. So this is the man. One day I'll come here and talk about Mansa Musa, but this was one of the richest men on earth. At that time, this guy, he had gold. This empire, it was rich. These guys, colonizers, were coming here, guys, not to discover Africa. No, not to discover this continent. It was already there. They were coming here to see what is the secret of this success. And when they came, they saw what was the secret of this success. That these guys were united. When you look at Mali Empire, it was not just Mali. No, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Mauritania. All of these countries together, they knew that these guys are united. These guys are unstoppable. These guys are too rich to handle, to deal with them. What are we going to do? Let's break them out. Mali Empire. And I'm just reading the summary, guys, here. And they're going to talk about these things in detail. the Songhai Empire. Today, this well-known kingdom is dispersed across portion of Mauritania, the Gambia, Senegal, Mali, Guinea-Bissau, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Nigeria. Between the years 1000 and 1591, the empire was active. It was regarded as the biggest state on African continent because it was one of the African kingdoms before colonization, the Songhai Empire. Look at those countries, all of these other countries, African countries, together. Timbuktu, one of its most notable cities, served as the hub of education in the area. Guys, education was already here even before colonization. Know that. Following the collapse of the Mali Empire, the empire arose, and during this time, it was responsible for the expansion of several significant trans-Saharan routes. Education, trans-Saharan routes, they are always there before colonization. I'm giving you guys, I just want to create this range inside of you to go to dig for yourself and to read this kingdom to understand, and this empire of Africa. This is how you know who you are as an individual, where you came from, the history of your continent before the white man came and took it off and changed everything. Number 5, the Kingdom of Zimbabwe. Between 1220 and 1450 CE, the kingdom was active. Today, it is one of the African kingdoms and claims Great Zimbabwe, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, as its capital. Around 18,000 people lived in the empire, who covered an area of around 7 kilometer squares from the continent's southern east coast to its interior. The empire controlled the commerce in gold and ivory. They also mined copper and iron. The Kingdom of Zimbabwe. All right, number 6. The Kingdom of Mutapa. What is currently South Africa, Lesotho, Zambia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Swaziland were all part of the empire. The empire was one of the South African kingdoms that flourished between the years 1430 and 1760s. It covers the sizable portion of Southern Africa from the Indian Ocean coast up to the Limpopo and Zambezi rivers. The Kingdom of Mutapa is thought to have been founded by the military prince from the Kingdom of Zimbabwe in an effort of dominate trade in the area. The Portuguese eventually took the rule of middlemen between India and small Mutapa Kingdom. The empire quickly grew to be so powerful that any Portuguese commander who assumed office had to pay a tribute to them. Guys, do you understand that? So Portuguese commander who assumed the office, they had to come and to pay tribute to the Kingdom of Mutapa because of how strong, powerful it was, this kingdom. And look at the countries. Again, this kingdom, it was not just one country. South Africa, Lesotho, Zambia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Swaziland, together, one empire. Unity is power. Africa knew the power because it was united. Today, we don't understand that because we are divided. 7. The Ethiopian Empire. It spread throughout several regions of what are now called Eritrea and Ethiopia between 1137 and 1975 CE. One of the map of African kingdoms, the empire lasted from the Middle Ages until the Cold War. It demonstrated its strength by defending of numerous adversaries who tried to encroach on its land. The Ottoman, Italians, and Egyptian armies were a few of them. Some of its rulers are thought to be descendants of King Solomon. After the Italians won the Second Italo-Ethiopian War in 1935, the monarchy was overthrown. All right, guys. I don't know what to say about the Ethiopian Empire. I've spoken a lot about this. But this is one of the empire or one of the kingdom that was never colonized because of Menelik II and what he did. They fought against and they won all these empires. They won. Remember, God, Ottoman Empire is one of the greatest empires ever existed. They did not occupy their land. Italians, Egyptians armies, fellow Africans did not occupy the land and they were beaten to the ground. This guys is... Do you understand the power that Africa had? Do you understand the power that is in you today? Because that power, the power of our ancestors is still in you today. Not only in you, it's in your neighbor, the neighbors that you're killing them, the neighbors that are not coming from your tribe, that power is in them. The power is in this continent. Unfortunately, we are not aware of it. And that's why we come and we share these details for you guys to understand. The Kingdom of Congo, number 8, a portion of DRC, Angola, Republic of Congo, Gabon, and now part of this empire. It existed between roughly 1390 and 1914 CE, when the European nations started vying for control of Africa. Luken Lua Mini, a Kikongo warrior, was in charge of it as he ruled Central Africa. His political and military prowess was widely regarded. Ivory, copper, pottery, and textile were all traded in the empire. The Kingdom of Congo. I promise you guys, I will come talk about one kingdom after another. It's very important. The Benin Empire. Between 1180 and 1897, this kingdom spanned present-day Nigeria among the different West African kingdoms. It was regarded as one of the oldest and most advanced. It exchanged Manila and firearms for bronze, ivory, iron, paper, and palm oil. Additionally, it was one of the African kingdoms that the British Empire subdued. All right, guys, you guys know a lot of Benin bronze and a lot of Benin artifacts out there in the United States and other countries across the world. They stole it from Benin Empire. Guys, this empire is extended all the way to present-day Nigeria. Benin Empire. Number 10, the Kingdom of Kush. For more than 1,000 years, the empire dominated the continent of Africa as a strong regional force. That's why I'm saying, guys, before Africa became Africa, it was mostly referred as Kush or Ethiopia. Mostly in a lot of historical books, including Bible, Kush, people of Kush. So in the Bible, when you see the people of Kush, it's not talking about the people specifically just from Ethiopia, but from today we call Africa. But it used to be called Kush. If you look at the map, you'll see that even Ethiopian Sea, man, it used to be all the way to this part of Ghana. The western side of Africa, this Atlantic Ocean, it used to be called Ethiopian Sea. How can it be called Ethiopian Sea if the entire continent is not Ethiopian Sea? Because we used to be called the people of Kush. And this is one of the empires that dominated the continent of Africa as a strong regional force. It had force. It crossed what is now Sudan. However, it is frequently enclosed by Egypt's neighbors by the north. The empire possessed control of a significant area of land around the Nile River. It is thought that Egyptian sources account for the most of what is known about. They traded in incense, gold, iron, and ivory. It's interesting to note that they both constructed their pyramids and revered various Egyptian deities. The dead were also mummified by them. Guys, people of Africa, Alkebulians, the people of Kush, Kushites. This is the real history of Africa before colonization. This is Africa. This is the real history of Africa before colonization. We are kings and queens. Before we became slaves, we used to be kings and queens. We have resources. Aksum Kingdom was one among 4 superpowers in the world, including Persia, China, Rome, and Aksum. What is there to be told about Africa? Africa, those colonizers, Vasco da Gama and others who came to the continent, they did not come to explore or discover this continent. No, they heard the stories about this continent. They heard these powerful people who don't look like them, what they do in their continent, and all these great kingdoms, because, man, these were superpowers in the world, so they knew it. They knew it, guys. They came to study us. They came to do research on us. And they succeeded. Because they broke all these empires with all the strength that our empires had. They managed to break each one of them one after another one. And they separated us. Berlin Conference, they separated us into these small individual, groups of people. Today, Africans are killing one another, fighting against each other, and they do not understand that our story started from being one. When you look at all these kingdoms and empires, 10 of them, you realize that each kingdom and empire, it was not just one country, it was 9 countries, it was 8 countries, it was 5 countries, it was 4 countries, it was a bunch of countries coming together, forming empire. Our strength is in the unity of our countries coming together and not in the division. Division is what brought us where we are today. And only unity is going to bring back to where we used to be back in the days. Because the future is in Africa. But the future will only be here if we unite. Nyerere said, without a unity, there will be no future for Africa. Future will no longer be here if you're not realizing today and unite. This is the history of Africa. This is where we came from. This is who we used to be. This is our people. This is us, the superpower, the power in us, the ability in us to make things that will change the course of humanity. Africa, let me tell you this today. Africa, it was already developed before colonizers came here. They came to undeveloped Africa and create a new system that will struggle to deal with it. Today, Africa is struggling with democracy because it was no longer our system. It was not our system. It's struggling with this development according to the Western standard because it was never our style. We had a different style of developing our continent, and we're doing much better. Today, all of a sudden, we had to learn a new system on how to develop ourselves. 60 years later today, we're still struggling with this new system because we do not seem to get it. Because it's not our own. We have been given a new identity. We're not Africans, guys. We're not Africans. I wish I can start naming another name. I wish, man, I wish. But for the sake of whatever we are saying, Africa, but we are not Africans. We're Kushites. We're Kebulan. This is who we are. This is who we are. I'm giving you a task, guys. Go learn and study about your kingdom. Go and learn and study about the kingdoms of Africa. Understand who we are. Knowledge is power, and what can transform Africa is by us knowing who we really are. This is going to transform Africa. People that are saying, man, unity, how unity is going to happen, we need to go back to the history. And another interesting thing about all this kingdom, they used to trade among each other. The first priority between kingdom, like Congo kingdom, Ethiopian kingdom, Aksum, the Ghana, the Zambia, the Benin, all this kingdom, man, the Kushite kingdom, the very first thing, the first priority for them, it was the fellow Africans. Mind you, when colonizers came, we started to trade with them. And that's when everything came underground. Because there's no fair trade. They take all the money away from us. That's the story of Niger. More than 40% of electricity in France coming from Niger, uranium, but in Niger, more than 86% of people, they are under dark. They don't have electricity. And even the electricity that they have, it black out all the time. This is how Africa is benefiting them through this trade. But before we will use all these kingdoms, when I look at them, they used to trade among each other, trading among each other, among ourselves. We were our people. We were first priority to each other. We were lifting each other up. We were fighting for one another. That's why this kingdom were the most powerful on earth, superpowers in the world. Today, Africa is trading more with Europe than with neighboring country in Africa because of these crazy borders. Today, if I want to open business in another country, the struggle that I'm going to go through, the money that I'm going to need to pay just to start this business, it's crazy. We don't want to trade among each other. We promote division. The leaders and the leadership, we speak about unity, but we promote division because we don't change the system. We keep using their own system and we don't even learn from European Union. They were divided, they came together, now they're working together to humiliate and manipulate us. At the same time, they're jeopardizing us not to come together. Man, to be honest, let's not be stupid. Let's not be ignorant. Learn your history, know where you're coming from, know who you are, know why you're here, know what can you do, know where you're going to change and transform this continent. Otherwise, man, I'm telling you, we're not going to see the change that Africa needs. So it's my cry and it's my call. And I want you guys to let me know in the comment section. What are you guys thinking about these empires? What you guys thinking about everything that I said here? What can we do? What do you think about our history back? How are we going to get back on our feet? Unity is the only answer. If we're not going to be united, we're going to keep talking about the same stories in 100 years to come.